Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry I'm late. I sat down to start streaming and I'm like, whoa, wait, how am I so late? I guess I totally lost track of the time. Plus my computer restarted last night. What's with that? I did not restart it. Something happened while I was out. All right, guys. Well, let's come in and look at the charts. Some interesting stuff happened yesterday. Not as interesting as earlier in the week. Well, okay, so here's the treasuries. A little bit of back and forth. You know, I would say most of this upside was during the overnight market, and then during the day we came back, but it wasn't huge. I'd say we're still in a pretty good spot in the treasuries. I like to see the treasuries up. Here's the S&P 500, and we had like some more talking around China, Trump tweeting things and stuff. We had a push down. They did push 6,600, which is where we started to see negative gamma, but it didn't push through it. I mean, it was like whoosh, and then they bounced. Somebody came in and bought it up. And by the end of the day, they had pretty much recovered everything, even though Trump is still fighting and stuff. And now we're higher overnight, so that is really, really interesting to me. Oil continues to be pressured by oversupply. Gold and every time that gold and silver will do something like this, and you're like, wow, that's a pretty ugly, but you know, it's okay. And then whoop, like the pushes up are just so dramatic. I'm starting to see some stuff that gold and silver, like on technical levels, are extremely overbought. But everything that I am seeing from the perspective of supply and demand suggests to me that even if they do have a meaningful pullback, that this is something that could go on for quite some time. So I don't know what to do. It's definitely getting to the point where I'm kind of like nervous about it. But geez, yeah, I'm not going to fight that, you know, like I'm certainly not going to go short against a trend like that. Good grief. All right, copper. Copper's been having some swings lately as well. But I guess they're splitting the difference. And then the Japanese yen, it's a little bit more interesting. Some movement here in the overnight. Okay, and the dollar past 2 days has been falling again, giving up some of those gains. Bitcoin, it stabilized a little bit, but at the moment they're kind of headed down. So we're still watching that 1100. We should title all future streams. Sorry, I'm late. Well, I was really good there for a long time. I was really good. The other issue is that Mom made like breakfast burritos and stuff like that, and I ate them all. So we need to make more, and that really speeds things up. But some of it is just I'm like thinking too much, you know. I got a couple of interviews lined up, and so I'm thinking about those. I'm wondering, it kind of feels to me, although I think it's way too early to be making any conclusions, but from what I've seen so far, better market than it was 6 months ago. Better market than it was 6 months ago. Which is kind of weird because, like, unemployment is higher now, right? but, and some of the opportunities that are coming to me, because one of the things was issues that I had before, it was like, wow, okay, these are positions, but none of these like really speak to me like, oh, this is a company that I'd really like to work for, you know? Nah. But now I'm getting some that like, oh yes, I would like. So I'm like there in the shower, thinking through like questions that they would ask in interviews and like things that I should go and brush up on and stuff. And then I while I was eating, I also think I got a little bit too distracted because apparently the anti bad guy good guy club is like a trend now. So if you haven't seen that, you should go look that up. I think that's kind of funny. Some interesting price movement here before we started in the treasuries. I'm curious to see what will happen if this ends up resolving to the upside, because it does kind of look like an ascending triangle to me. Although it's a suspect one. It looks like ZN is being pinned due to huge call open interest. So you think that ZN wants to move up, but it can't, perhaps? Well, so by the way, let's come back over here and look at a couple of things real quick. Here's our gamma exposure. Did the stuff that happened yesterday, did that change things? So here's the 6600. Wow. That's interesting. And where are we at right now? 6735. So that's a very different picture from what it was yesterday. And it does, I think, kind of suggest that if we get another shock today, that they could sell off hard. But they might be able to stay. It's probably more likely that they stay between 6,700 and 6,740. Well, it doesn't show us beyond that, but we're at 6,736 right now, so that's And I was kind of wondering if I can get that that same gamma thing for the treasuries, but I'm not. Maybe it's there, but I'm just not seeing it. I'm just looking at this. This kind of like tight movement here is a little bit unusual for ZN, and it does look like it's an ascending triangle. So it's a little bit too neat, in fact. So, yeah, you think you have to pay for it? All right. I was looking at things the other day, like different day, because I think I want to like build my platform starting with a free data source. So I went and found some free data sources. I actually found that somebody has made a wrapper for Rust for Rhythmic. So that helps too. Jamie Diamond says gold can easily go to 5,000 or 10,000. Wow. I'm really so I have a silver position on. It's a minor. I'm down on the position because they did some like issuance sort of thing. I kind of got screwed over there. But they're coming back. It's doing well. I think I could keep it longer term. In the short term, I'm starting to get nervous about the metals. Like, too many people are talking about it. I guess I'm not seeing, like, zaniness on Reddit. Okay, so here's a story I think you need to read. Authored by Simon White, Bloomberg macro strategist. Low bond volatility is a precursor to a larger move in yields. Declining bond volatility suggests yields are coiling for a larger move with options pointing to a decline. Markets were given a little reminder last week that despite the veneer of calm, there is a significant amount of leverage and repressed volatility in the system. Implied volatility in stocks and bonds jumped higher. However, in the case of bond volatility, the bounce is small compared to the monotonic decline since April. The MOVE index has steadily decayed in a way that should unnerve anyone who spends a lot of time watching price action in the markets. So I'm actually surprised to see that. Like, I know that volatility has been relatively low in the treasuries because we've been talking about it, like with this these levels that we talk about with Uzi, you know, and I've been saying, well, like through the summer, volatility has been low. And so, you know, I wouldn't necessarily expect it to always be like that. We move into a higher volatility regime, those setups are going to like get screwed over really hard, right? But I am surprised that it is that low. I wish this chart went further back because I would want to see it going back to like say 2016. What is it relative to 2016? Because I remember 2017 was like really, really low volatility and was extremely frustrating. But I kind of thought that the volatility was picking up in September, and actually it, you know, there was a little bit of a spike and then it kind of fizzled out. When markets see persistent declines in volatility, it usually augurs a bigger move is ahead, a so-called Minsky moment. As discussed recently, the Treasury's policies of buybacks and relying less on longer-term debt are helping to repress volatility. Illiquidity in off-the-run issues was helping to fan volatility in the Treasury market and stoking the buildup of potential underlying risks, such as the basis trade. The trade has swollen in size as bond funds begin to rely on Treasury futures to add duration instead of buying off-the-run bonds as they used to. Okay, so that's interesting as well. They are doing the basis trade over here instead of buying off-the-run bonds, which is like ones that are kind of like, how do I describe this? Isn't that kind of like the CFM or the LTSM strategy a little bit, as like when something comes off because the fund it comes outside of the duration that the fund wants, you can buy it and, you know, make a little bit more because they get oversold. Maybe that's not what that's talking about. Anyways, hedge funds take the other side of the futures position, hedging with repo, leading to huge leveraged positions that can be very profitable, but as we saw in the pandemic, can rapidly unwind and lead to a surge in volatility. Oh, okay. So he's saying if we have a Minsky moment, it's that the treasuries could just jump super quick like they did during the pandemic. Also, the Treasury's reduced reliance on longer-term debt necessarily means a greater reliance on bills to fund the deficit. When government debt outstanding is skewed towards bills, it typically leads to a steeper yield curve and, in turn, higher volatility. But repression of volatility doesn't tell you which direction yields will move when volatility rises again. Option markets, though, are pointing to lower yields. The chart below shows the drop in put-call ratio for the 10-year Treasury bond futures. Open interest in calls has risen. That would make sense. The job market is slowing, and the possibility of massive additional tariffs on 100% on China that, far from being inflationary, would likely be disinflationary. Yes. So it brings me back to this whole thing that is like, I don't know if you can necessarily say that tariffs are inflationary or disinflationary. Like, in some respect, they're inflationary because prices go up, but I don't think that that's really the biggest impact from them. I think that the overall impacts that they have on growth in different, in different sectors matters a lot more. And in that respect, the effect that it has on growth is explicitly negative right now. And ergo, I think that that supports lower interest rates. Which assets do you think are correlated with 30-year or 2-year Treasury yields? 10-year Treasury yields? The strongest correlated assets that you can see with anything in the yield curve, right, is there's this whole Treasury complex. So I would be watching the dollar, I would be watching the Japanese yen, I would be watching gold. Because those all have relatively high correlations. And what direction those correlations are going can kind of give you some ideas about where things are going. I do think this thing where that I do think that we're kind of in line for lower yields. And I think the thing yesterday, Jerome Powell coming in saying that they're going to slow the taper, essentially, because they've been running off the balance sheet and pretty significantly over the past few years, which honestly was needed because the balance sheet had gotten huge. It's coming back to a more reasonable level, and in fact, there's people are starting to get concerned that the runoff is that it gets too low, that it could cause problems, like that it could cause liquidity problems. So, them slowing that issuance is actually a much bigger deal than we probably realize. Like, that's really, really, really going to change the way that especially the primary dealers have to tackle this market. And it does support lower yields as well. And I have felt that through much of, well, let's just say through the summer, through this whole kind of tariff odyssey, that I, to some extent, have been swimming upstream, right? That I've been saying, well, I think that interest rates are going to drop. And a lot of the professional community has not seen it that way and continues to be concerned about inflation and that we need to bring rates down, or we need higher interest rates because of inflation. And I'm saying, not like it's hurting the job market. The underlying economy is weaker than we realize, or rates are going to go lower. Well, now we are seeing the Federal Reserve reduce interest rates, but now we're also seeing them talk about reducing the balance sheet runoff. That is maybe enough now to kind of fight against and maybe change some minds of those that are on the inflation camp, right? So we may well be moving into a new regime in Treasuries soon. But I'm also a little bit skeptical about the Minsky moment sort of thing. Only if there is a recession. And right now I don't know if there's going to be a recession. Actually, you know what is kind of curious to me is, especially in traditional economics and like Federal Reserve policy, they really treat things as like cut and dry, you know? Like there's this special level that if unemployment is below that level, we need to raise interest rates and increase unemployment. Otherwise, we will get inflation, right? This is the natural NIRU, natural rate of unemployment. And I was talking to ChatGPT yesterday about this and asking it specifically about agent-based models on this point. And what the agent-based models say is that it's totally a thing, but that there's not like some stable rate, that it depends on other factors where that rate is going to be. And it kind of strongly suggested to me that there were periods where we could have had interest rates lower. And especially now, that this might be one of those situations. Okay, so there's one. Just kind of shelve that one. Another thing that I'm kind of looking at is like, we have this really bizarre market where like the top 10% of earners are responsible for 50% of consumer spending. How is that possible? I would have thought that if the American like the average American consumer is down that much, it would be very difficult for most companies to really get the volume that they would need to make money, and that it would be hurting the overall economy. And apparently that's not the case. But we're running into this scenario where like maybe a lot of our traditional ideas about economics just don't apply anymore. You know? Like, what happens if you have high unemployment and so you reduce interest rates? Companies are able to borrow, tech companies especially, are able to borrow tons of money, and instead of using it to hire people, they just use it to build out more compute for artificial intelligence and stuff, right? Now you have a real problem because the stimulative effect of lower interest rates won't help the unemployment situation, right? But in that situation, then doesn't it kind of make sense that you can just have really low interest rates? Or that you have to have different interest rates for different sectors, or you need to have like industry specific investment, like fiscal stimulus from Congress, right? Like we're going in that kind of direction. But to me, it does suggest, at least in the short term, lower interest rates. Like a 10-year below 4%. Like I think 4% continues to kind of be a support area. And I would like to see us below 4% on the 10-year. Okay, so Amir, what are you talking about? I wish it were possible to replace your DOM setup. I love my DOM setup. Why would we ever replace it? It's so cool. There's so many numbers all changing all the time. I love it. It's probably intimidating to people, but I don't know. Yeah, so that actually kind of gets me back onto this kick that it was kind of because the 2-year. Oh well, we could get rid of those, but I don't know what we would replace them with. I guess one thing is that I would like to have the 2-year up here more. I suppose what I could do. Ooh, this would be too much change for me, guys. I don't like changing things. Maybe I should though. I could move ES down here Yeah. Move my 10-year over here like this. Yeah. Okay, maybe we expand those a little bit to fill out the rest of the space. And I put the 2-year up here. But if I was going to put the 2-year up here, I would have to move. I would want it to be over on this side. So that's why I don't like it. Because I kind of like that my 10-year is right here. Because I can kind of see you guys in chat out of the corner of my eye. Right? Oh, jeez. So what do you think? Okay, I'll tell you what. We'll do a vote on it. We'll do a vote. I vote gold. Well, we could maybe add gold in there too. When you get into gold, so like copper, I think would be interesting. Gold, I'm not sure if gold moves the same way and if the DOM is as useful in gold or not. But I've never really watched it. I just know that when I've looked at cumulative deltas in the past, that cumulative delta in gold seems to be a little bit, it's not like an FX future, but it is a little bit different. Okay, I put the votes up. We'll wait until we have like 24 votes or something so you can vote. Keep it the way that it is or rearrange things to have the 2-year and maybe another instrument on there. And move the ES down to the bottom lane. And so, anyways, what I was going to say is, this kind of gets me back onto this kick of like, I think that what I have done with my content and everything, especially, is like, I feel like I'm giving what people need. Like, if you want to become a better trader, these are the things that are going to help you the most. It's unfortunate that trading is just really hard, so that might not be enough. But it's the most that you can possibly get. But that doesn't necessarily lead to a more popular YouTube channel or lots of people buying the indicators or anything like that. Because it's not necessarily what people want. But from that perspective, do I even really understand what people want? I don't think I do. Wish there was access to DXY. The 2-year is inactive, is it? You have the 2-year DOM up? Well, let's go look at it. Anyways, like the only thing that I think I know about what people want is that they want to make money and they want to watch people that they think are making money. And that's the only thread throughout the day trading community and this line of business that I see that is consistent. Is that it doesn't matter how dumb or ridiculous the thing is that they're selling. If a person comes out and claims to be making tons of money from it, like, people come out of the woodwork, you know? You might have a lick of tism, and that in itself kind of means you probably don't know what people want. Well, so when it comes to Seth's psychology and things like that, I'm actually finding that I can be better than the average person actually at understanding what makes individual people tick and what they're going to be good at. Like, this is where I think that I can be a really effective mentor, as I kind of know what person's thinking and what they're good at and bad at, and how to target what I'm saying to them in a way that's going to be like the most useful to them, right? I just think that it's in this instance where it's almost like the audience doesn't really know what it wants, other than that it wants to make money, right? So if you come in and you say, well, there's nothing that you could ever provide, there's no tool that you can provide that will just straight up make them money. The market just doesn't work like that. So then you kind of have to approach it from a different direction, right? You have to know what they want when they themselves don't know. Maybe we could put that up like that. Sometimes you just have to accept that you see the market differently than the audience does. Well, but maybe. But you know, I'm not even talking about the market. Like what we do on stream, you know, is its own thing. Oh, I thought I had one that was big. All right, you're gonna make me. No, let's do this. I'm thinking more from the perspective of the Ninja Trader package, right? Like, what is it that I can put in the Ninja Trader package that is like what people want? That people are going to see that and they're going to be like, oh, I really want to try that out, right? And I do think maybe to some extent novelty. Like I really think that the reason why what is it called? Like the Vista charts or Bookmap. I really think that what attracts people to Bookmap is novelty more than anything. It's a completely different looking kind of chart. Okay, so I did that, and it's, oh, okay, there we go. And then I get rid of the alert and the order columns. There you go. So maybe there could be something that I could make that would provide that novelty, but I don't know. I feel like it's got to be more than that. So I've continued to try and think if I want to, because really what I care about the most right now is I want to sell more of the indicator suite. Well, I shouldn't really call it an indicator suite because there's more than that, and it's not really traditional indicators, right? Want to sell my Ninja Trader suite more so that we can fund the development of our own trading platform. So what can I add to that? I've put in a bunch of things that are like, these are the things that are going to help you the most and that are the most useful to me. But that's not necessarily what the general public finds the most interesting. And what would be the most interesting indicators to add to that? I suppose, I did make that fair value gap thing, but I don't know if that would be enough, I hate how they don't use CPP for their delving kits. NinjaTrader comes with that now. What, the Vista charts? Yeah, they kind of have a thing like that. I honestly do kind of feel like that the 2-year is not really that useful. Oh, NinjaTrader comes with a fair value gap. Yeah, but it's not nearly as cool as my fair value gap. I haven't seen anything that comes even remotely close to my fair value gap. But fair enough, people might not want to go and buy an indicator package just to have my nicer fair value gap, right? Does Jigsaw allow you to make the volume inside limit order rolls capable of changing color with volume, kind of like Bookmaps does, but just in the limit order column? Oh. You mean like have it based on color instead of a histogram? I don't think so. If it was different colors, I think I would kind of hate that. People to see real traders actually make money and explain the process. I don't think that they do. Sorry, is that I'm having trouble because it's doesn't list your names the same anymore. So AO's name is really weird because it's got like CD3ZJ behind it. All of this. It also seems to me, okay. What does the trading audience want? Wait, we should pull up the terminal. They want to make money. Or wait, we need to write this. Audience. Let's do it like this. They want to make money. They don't want to spend money to make it. Right? This is I am convinced, I'm absolutely convinced that the sole reason that price action strategies are so popular amongst the retail trading community is because you don't have to buy anything to do it. That's also the reason why news-based trading is the least popular among the retail traders, even though it's the one that's probably has the most edge for them in the way that they trade. It's because you have to pay for a news squawk and all of these things to actually have that information and be informed. So they don't want to do it, even though I really don't see how you're going to be successful in the long term on short time frames without being informed. So you come in and you show them a fancy indicator, and then yeah, I don't think they necessarily go for that. Robots seem to do okay. Like people, there's lots of people looking for robots to just do it all for them, which is like, that's another one that's crazy. How is gamma useful in futures market? Yeah, when you remember to turn them on. Yeah, I probably should turn it on today, huh? I never remember to turn it on. It's a really frustrating. I wish that NinjaTrader just turned it on automatically whenever we restart the platform. Anyways, I kind of need like a new robot anyways. How is gamma useful in future markets? Really quick. Well, I was talking about this with some people on TikTok. So maybe I should make a video about it on TikTok. But I have a video on the channel that's called How Gamma Destroyed Markets. Is really what you should go and look at. But basically, when you look at this chart here, positive gamma tends to constrain price, and negative gamma tends to extend. So if we pass through those levels, they're likely to keep going. But that's not what happened yesterday. Yesterday, they got right to the big level, and there was like a big sweep through it, and then it reversed. So some really big buyer came in there. So. Right. So maybe the answer here is they don't want a NinjaTrader suite. So there are people out there that offer suites that aren't as good as mine. And it kind of sounds like that they're selling a lot of it. Maybe I just need to increase my marketing. Maybe I just need to start doing targeted Google ads towards NinjaTrader traders, and we'll get more sales on that. I don't know. Okay, so then we could make more videos. So one of the things that I find frustrating is like, so I have another KVM switch, by the way. Look at this. They had to it's like, can you see how they've completely encased it in duct tape? Because this one, I had to pay the import duties on it. But they really wanted it, and we're going to try and get a video out by Monday for it. But those videos do pretty well. Like, videos about hardware do pretty well. I'm kind of like, maybe I just need to make another channel that's just for hardware stuff like that, you know, that's focused more on docking stations and KVM switches and like business productivity kind of stuff, rather than like what most channels show, gaming, right? I don't know. I'm not going to say that my YouTube videos don't do well, though. Because especially the part that like I really focused down on, like the order flow video series and the videos about market microstructure and stuff. They didn't start out, but as time has gone on, they've done well. They're not enough to boost the channel into like where you could live off of it or anything, or to where I could use it to fund the development of my own trading platform. But it's there. So maybe the answer is not Seth needs to adjust his current offerings to meet the market demand, but that he needs to create completely new product line to meet the market demand, then I'm still not sure what that would be. I can't figure out what I need when it comes to any computer parts, so many options tends to overwhelm quick. $200 is completely fair. Oh, what, for my Ninja Trader suite? I think so. Dude, it's crazy to me. There are people that it seems to me that they're having some success with it, but you know, we don't have any numbers, so maybe they're like just a complete failure with it, right? Maybe I'm actually selling more than them. We have a couple hundred users of the indicators now, actually, like paid customers. So it actually has been pretty successful, like way more successful than I thought it would ever be. It's just we need more. We need to figure out how to fund building our own platform. Okay. But there are some people out there that are selling it for like $50 monthly fee. Like, good grief. You're fascinated with the cost basis indicator? You know, this is like one of those bucket list sort of things, I guess. But I would really like to see more professional level research done on the cost basis indicator, because when I first saw this, because I didn't come up with the idea, okay? There was a thread about it on the futures.io, which I forget what they've renamed it to. But anyways, you know, this guy said that he was doing this thing and that it was working really well for him. So I was like, oh, I can program that, because I can program anything. It was very complicated to program, by the way. It was not simple. But I kind of thought that it was just going to be nonsense, to be honest with you. And then, like, the very first time that I loaded it up, I was seeing bounces off of the line to the tick. I was like, what the? Oh, wow. Like, I couldn't believe it. I'd never seen something that showed so clearly, like, reaction to that level. It still seems to have the same issue that, like, everything does. Like Gamma is another clear one. Like, there's really key levels on Gamma in the S&P 500. The market reacts to them. I can't necessarily predict if they're going to go through it or bounce off of it, but there's clearly the market is looking at that, and there are things happening when they cross those lines. Like, people's strategies change when they cross those lines. So the question is, like, what kind of empirical research can we do with the cost basis indicator? What I would like to see is if we were able to take like full market data. Like, you can get market data that like identifies all of the traders. So if I were to take that and use that to identify all of the market makers and calculate the average position of all market makers. So basically like a volume weighted average price of all market maker holdings, right? And compare that to the inventory cost basis. That would be, I think, where I would start with that kind of research, is to see how effective of an analog it actually is. Have a resources about, I don't know if I can really spend time on that stuff right now. So today is the last day of the day job, which I am so ready to be done. Because you can't really do a whole lot when you know that you're going to be leaving in a week or two, right? Any big project that you're going to start up, it's probably just going to be dropped. The organization doesn't have the ability to absorb it. So I've been like doing studying and stuff like that. So and sometimes like I don't think it's a humiliation ritual, but like that's kind of the joke that I tell myself in my head is that having me sit there and do nothing for a week is basically a humiliation ritual. So where was I getting at? Oh yeah, so what are we going to do with that free time? What are we going to do with that free time? Well, I do want to trade until 9:30. We can. I don't think that I'm going to be able to do that all the time though, because I do have to take Asher to school at 8:30. So like tomorrow we'll only be able to stream until 8. Tomorrow will only be the same hours as we've been doing, because I'll have to go and get him out of bed and feed him and get him off to school. And then when I come back, I have at least one interview tomorrow. And then I think I've got to tear the room apart and change the setup to the over-the-top camera setup so that I can record unboxing this thing. Right? And then if I finish that, probably more study for the upcoming interviews that I have. So probably don't have time to like go really deep on, you know, something like a videos, you know, like a watching a video series or something like that. High frequency trading, public information, financial markets, microsoft. I think I've watched that before, actually. I think some people have sent me that before. Are you starting trading FT for real money you have collected? No, I won't do that. Honestly, you know, I don't know how I feel about this. I think that I enjoy trading. I think somebody has to do it. Most people are going to fail at it. That doesn't mean that you're going to fail at it, but it's very, very difficult. And even if you are successful with it, you're unlikely to make a full-time living from it. At least from scalping futures. Okay. If you have a big enough wad and you're doing stocks, maybe a different thing. Okay. Stocks and options. And so from maybe purely because of that, maybe it hurts me. Because what people want to, what the way they want to make money and they don't want to spend money. Right. So for somebody to come in and say, well, what you're doing is probably never going to make you money. That's not what people want to hear. But it's just, I tried really, really hard for a long time. I've gotten really, really good at this, and I kind of know like how, like what is reasonable success with this. And I just know that trying to make a full-time living off of it is just not a very smart idea. So maybe a small number do make money. I really wonder in the future space in particular. I think that that in any given year, there's probably a handful of people that made big money trading futures. But somebody that has consistently made 6-figure income over the course of 5 to 10 years from scalping futures, I honestly, as a retail trader, I honestly don't believe it exists. I don't believe it exists. Tom Hoagland for sure. Oh my gosh, dude. So there was this thread on, I think it was the day trading subreddit, but basically there's this guy that has kind of become frustrated by the people that are day trading and like showing it on YouTube and stuff and making claims. And so he went and he watched Tom Hoagland for like one to 3 months and tracked the guy's performance and everything. And it wasn't really very good. This is actually like he has showed a graph of it and everything, and it was kind of random. And then at the end of it, you know, Hoagland was showing that he had made so much money from it, but all of that money had been made off stream. And when you actually looked at his on stream trading, it wasn't very good. So I think even with them, I think you have to be a little bit skeptical about what they're... Because, like, honestly, to take it from another direction, right? You have X much money. What percent performance? What does your performance need to be in terms of percent so you live off of it to make 6 figures, right? And from everything that I've seen, if you were to make 20 to 30% in a year, like that's what a big fund will make. Like, that's really good. That's like sustainable performance, right? But then at that point, like, you have to have like almost $1 million already to handle that, right? So it's just not practical. Or to put it another way, as good of a trader as I am, I'm not going to make more money from trading than I will from doing cloud engineering. Wow, you should go find that thread. It was interesting. Like, in all honesty, I think that being a YouTuber is a better living than being a scalper. It is. And like, look, that's not like necessarily a horrible thing, right? Because I'm kind of saying, even if you're not going to make tons of money from it, there's still value to trading. Okay. You learn a lot from trading. There's a lot of personal benefit to you. There is opportunity for you to get rich. Hit it big with it. And somebody has to do it. It does actually serve a purpose in this world. We need more people that understand what things are worth and trade based off of it to make markets more efficient. It is a real role that we're kind of losing because everything has become, based on indexes. Somebody has to do it, right? So from that perspective, if it needs to be done, but it's really hard to make a really respectable living from doing it, then really anything that we can do to kind of assist people that are doing that journey to augment their income to do it is ultimately a good thing. So I'm totally fine with their trading, and they might not be making money all the time, as long as they're honest with everybody about their performance. As long as they're not lying to everybody and saying they're making all this money and it doesn't actually reflect their real performance, then that's fine. And anything that comes in, they're making money from the YouTube channel, they're making money from selling a service, that's great. That's a good thing. It really bothers me, these people that think that if somebody's making money from anything other than their trading, that it makes them illegitimate or that's a bad thing. I don't agree with that. Like, do you guys want good content? Do you want to have good tools that help you become better or that help your trading? Do you want to have education that can help you become better traders? Because if you want to have those things, you have to reward them. And so I think that if people are making good content, that we should reward good content. As long as they're being honest with people, right? Ultimately, it's a good thing because the reality is that you're not going to make a ton of money from scalping. You're just not. Honestly, I'm not convinced that Hoagland does, though. I think that he probably had a period of performance that was really good, and that overall his trading is probably shows not a lot of significant long-term edge. And that he probably makes more from his YouTube than he does from his trading. I bet you. Because to be honest, the performance that I saw in that thread, and I think it would be hard for me to find it. Actually, it wouldn't be hard for me to find it. What I was seeing in that thread, my trading was better. Put it that way. My trading was better. Come on, Tom Hoagland. Am I not spelling his name correctly? Tom Hoagland? Oh, is there an A in there? H-O-A-G? Hoagland? No. What about Anton Creel? I am also not. Okay, I think I know how to get it. Or maybe I don't know how to get it. Have you seen Fabio Valentini? No, I don't think I have. Well, maybe I have. I'd be really surprised the scalper winning the World Cup. Okay, well, here's his channel. Wow, he's using market profile and auction market theory. Yeah. Wait, is this the Flow Horse? Is that him? That can't be. The World Cup is a very flat, yeah. So honestly, to convince me that somebody is worth following or listening to because of their trading performance you would have to show me a 5-year history. I'm so sick of you had a good year and all of a sudden you're a trading expert. And then you live the rest of your life off of that, right? I just... Because what's really happening here is when you look at it from a long-term perspective, 5 to 10 years performance, I don't think that there is anybody in the retail trader community scalping futures that is consistently making 6 figures from that. I really don't. And what happens instead is you just have a season of profitability and then you live the rest of your career off of that. And all you got to do is, you know, you don't even have to show people your performance. It's just like everybody knows that you made money during that one period, and then that's all you got to do. It's ridiculous. But like that's another thing is that like it seems to me this is like goes for social media as a whole that you have to have social proof, right? They care more about who you are than what you're saying. Good morning, Seth. Hey, is that D? They changed the YouTube chat and it doesn't use your regular names anymore, or maybe it was they reset them all. Okay, it is D. Yeah, they reset them all, and so your name just says user-bc6. Yes, this is some big hash. But it was just the way that you said, the way that she came in and the way that she said it. I was like, I bet you that's D. Plus, your name is still blue. That's funny. By the way, I don't know. I have to look into. Yeah, well, I don't think it's not you. It's like everybody. By the way, today is the last. What we're talking about since you just came in. Today is the last day of my day job, current contract. I have some interviews lined up. It does feel like that things are better than it was earlier in the year, but it might still take some time to find a new job. And in the meantime, I would have time to pick up some programming projects. So if you really have something you still want to do, we can make that. You're absolutely right. Is that you, ChatGPT? Is that the past does not mean the future will be the same. Things are constantly changing. I.e., easing was a gimme. Yeah. No. I was talking about the live action comment. Because he started with "you're absolutely right." No, I got you, D. I know who's who. I don't know if it lets you change your name like back, but it's kind of annoying. Yeah, whatever. You have to click on your name and maybe you can change your desired name. When you say live action comment versus YouTube live, is there a difference? I don't know. Okay, here's what I see right here. So as you came in, it says user BC6. Okay, cool. And then live action. It's another longtime viewer here. Says, Seth, you're absolutely right. And I was like, oh wait. Did you ChatGPT that comment? Is that you, ChatGPT? I don't know. So did you hear yesterday that like ChatGPT is that they are going to allow erotica? I'm really think it really seems to me, maybe I'm wrong. We don't have like the internal numbers or anything. But from what I'm reading on social media, it's starting to seem to me that the two largest user bases for large language models like ChatGPT are one, people in tech like programmers, and B, lonely single women that want an AI boyfriend. And that's why there's such this clamoring for erotica, as they want the ChatGPT to sext them. Seriously. And ChatGPT is giving in if they're gonna do it. And they're gonna bring back some of the things that people liked about ChatGPT 4. Oh man. Because I you know what? I love ChatGPT, but I love it for the technology aspect of it. Like the thing that's so cool about ChatGPT, like if I go to Google and I search, okay, so like I could give you an example where looks maxing my wife, mostly because like when I'm looking for clothes, and Instagram shows me a lot of girl clothes, so I'm browsing through all the girl clothes, and then I'm like, well, but would this be flattering on her or not flattering on? So I'm trying to learn from asking ChatGPT what sort of things would be the most flattering. Like I've learned that apparently you don't want a square neck on her because she has very round facial features. Okay, this sort of a thing, right? So I can go to Google and I can say, you know, give me general tips about this thing, right? But on ChatGPT, I can like really narrow it down, and I can say, okay, because she has, you know, like whether it's like how tall their nose is or how flat their cheeks are or whatever the deal is, like how does that change things? And ChatGPT can kind of tell me that, right? Okay, cool. But the thing that I love the most, the thing that to me is like this game-changing feature, like how is that possible? How does that work? That's so crazy that people frankly don't use ChatGPT for very often, but is just absolutely cool. Is I can go in and I can say, show me something that's uncommon. Like, okay, she has these facial features. What are some looks that are uncommon but work really well with those facial features? And it can give them to me. That's where it gets crazy. Is like I can actually use ChatGPT to search for things that are uncommon, you know, or are like the opposite of popular, or whatever the deal is, because it's going to look at its models, going to say, okay, here is like the response that I would give, but here is like the response that I would be the least likely to give, and I can give him that instead because he's asking for that. That's the crazy thing to me about ChatGPT that you could do with it. But because it's all about like it's taking this model and then you give it this thing and it puts it on top of it, you know. It's so cool. I don't really see people using it for that. Instead, they want to use it as an AI romantic partner. It's just so dumb to me. but it kind of is seeming to me like that's maybe where they make the most money from. I tell you guys, you do me a big favor. By the way, good morning, Big Toasty. Haven't seen you in a while. Actually, that's not what your name usually is. What's your name usually? I'm gonna try and guess. Oh, it's Ann Stuffa. Yes. Good morning. How are you? Ann Stuffa's got a cool picture profile, huh? Nah, they're pretty. Yeah. No, guys, don't use AI for your romantic partner. It's not good for you. It's not good for society. Okay. It's an interesting novelty. I do also wonder, I'm kind of interested in the word novelty because I was watching who was it? Theo? Is his name Theo on YouTube? He's like a tech influencer guy, but he's kind of more of the like startup, probably uses a Mac tech kind of guy. All of the stuff that he's doing is like web programming and that sort of a thing. But he does understand the startup world really well. That's where I think he's the most valuable. And he was talking about Lovable because apparently like the number of people using Lovable has like gone down like crazy. And he was saying, well, because what's happening is these non-tech people, like your boomer parents, finally have the ability to make their own app. So they went in and they tried to make their own app and then found that it doesn't really work. Nobody's graduating, like nobody's making $1 billion app from AI. And the novelty of it wears off and then they quit. I think he might be right. And I think he's right in that I think that novelty drives more buying than we realize. Like, I know that I look for novelty and, I'm always looking for a new thing to keep me interested. But like, I'm kind of realizing like, oh yeah, probably the reason that Bookmap is as popular as it is because it's novel. It's a chart that looks radically different and cooler than any other kind of chart out there. Well, maybe those are some things that we can build into our trading platform because I'm using graphics and like raw graphics. I can make graphical effects on the charts that make them look cooler than a regular chart. Wouldn't that be cool? Well, we did have a slight move up here in the treasuries. It's time for me to get going. But I would say for the last 20 minutes or so, there has been a little bit of a trend up. And I'm not entirely sure where it's coming from. I didn't hear anything from the news squawk. There's not, let's see here. There is some discussion from Besant and stuff. But I'm not seeing like selling in the S&P 500. So let's see here. Now on the change the setup to add the 2-year. Yes is narrowly winning out, but I don't feel like that's enough. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep this 2-year DOM open. Maybe just kind of put it off to the side here for now. And maybe we just got to figure out a better setup that until we get like 60% here. Like, oh yeah, that's good. Let's do it like that. Okay. So join us tomorrow. Should be interesting. Actually, it might not be interesting. It might be a quiet day tomorrow. But Thursday and Friday, then we get the opportunity to do more building. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. And I'm excited. I mean, we will get another job eventually, and I'm excited to have an opportunity to try different companies and new people. All right, guys. Stay excellent, team.